Hey guys, welcome to the official OMG sketch comedy commentary. This is Tran. I was the writer and technical director of this show.
Yes, and I am Micheal Smith, and I was the director of the show.
And we thought this would be a fun idea because I always love watching commentaries on DVDs. And so I thought, why not do it for a play? And so
Yes.
we decided, here we are, we're going to contribute some of our thoughts into the show and just comment on things that we did during the process of making this show.
Yes, and it was definitely a beautiful process for, I'm sure, both of us. And we had a grand time making this happen, and this is actually the first student-written, student-directed show at CCD in the history of CCD.
Yeah.
Which is incredible.
For sure.
I think for us to put together, and I thank Dee here for accepting the challenge, and same with the actors, all the beautiful actors that are dancing at the beginning of our show.
Yeah, we had the unique challenge of having no faculty help. So
Yes.
as students, this was kind of a really hard process to do because we were on our own. So
Yes.
Mike had to direct all of it. I had to submit all the material. We were on our own in terms of setting things up. And so
Yeah.
the way it came out is beautiful in itself.
Yes, and so here we are at the OMG dance, and this this is definitely just mostly improv. I didn't want to have to choreograph a whole thing. I mean, some of it's choreographed, but I kind of wanted them to be more, have so much fun. Dancing to Usher's song OMG. I felt like this was so appropriate for a show like this.
For sure.
And they brought it in, and I wanted them to just have a whole bunch of fun, and they definitely brought it.
Oh, yeah. Part of this dance is kind of a tribute to our director when we acted in shows, Lori
Yes.
Lynch. And
Lori.
does a lot of movement pieces in her works, and so this is kind of a shout out to her style of directing.
Yes, yeah, and I also felt that a dance could open up the audience to the to maybe the ridiculousness or the fun of the show.
This show definitely has its moments.
Yeah. Oh man.
Where it gets a little ridiculous. So
Yes.
You open with this dance. Hey, if you can handle this dance, you can handle the show.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and it was. Yes, this was definitely a fun thing to put into the show. So.
Oh, definitely.
And everything about the show is mostly, just some fun, creative skits that are, outrageously, and I'm pretty sure they're just beautiful and great. And as the way I seen them, at first I was just, it blew my mind how great how funny these were. So
these guys were new actors, and so they definitely brought it on. I was impressed by their talent.
Yes.
And so here we are. This is our first skit, which is Sex Under the Risers.
Yes,
It's
and
kind of a
it's-
hoot to make,
Yeah.
actually. So the scene goes, there are two people that are underneath the risers in which the audience sits, and they're trying to have sex. And one of them is all for it, and the other one isn't.
Is not, yeah.
And I thought, well, let's bring up the uncomfortable level of the audience and
Yes.
having people have sex underneath them.
Yes, and I felt like that was that's just creative to the max, just because it does make the audience as uncomfortable as the character who doesn't want to have sex under the risers, and it's just, I think it's great. It makes it so much more hilarious, and it's a great opener for for the audience, because in this skit, we tell the audience to turn off their cell phones and all that stuff. It's like a really great a prelude to our first skit, and this is great. We integrated the MC, who is played by Bruce Chubb, and he brought it. He brought it each night, both nights, and he did his thing.
Definitely.
And I was very happy to see him be a part of this as well.
Yeah. This skit did a lot in terms of getting a lot of work done without making it seem like work.
Yeah.
So we introduced the MC this way, and then we also did our announcements this way. So like turning off cell phones, no pictures, anything like that, but presenting it in a fun and enjoyable way and wrapping a little skit around it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And this was he's giving the introductory announcements. He did a great job with integrating comedy with it, and
He did. Bruce was
breaking
taking
ice.
he was taking a comedy class during the time
Yes.
of the show, so he had a chance to work his chops
Yeah.
in his interludes.
And also, before this show was presented, he actually did stand up for his final. He actually got a chance to perform. So,
Yeah.
so he actually, he came up with a lot of his jokes and a lot of his
Right.
his speeches. So,
Yeah.
which is. I think is very impressive considering the amount of time we had.
Mhm.
It was very, very strict timing.
This entire show was done in about a month.
Yeah,
so-
I'd say less than a month, because after casting, we had a few people leave, and we were still getting scripts. Dee was still writing scripts, actually.
Oh yeah,
So-
2 weeks before the show was gonna premiere. So
Yeah,
it was
pretty
a
much.
really hectic time for all of us.
Yeah,
in
and
terms of polishing and making the show work.
yes, definitely.
Okay, so this is Ermiger Girl.
Yes, and this is a scene that I had a very, very fun time directing. This was definitely one of the scenes that was more polished up a lot more against all the other scenes.
Right.
I had a chance to work with these guys almost every rehearsal, which is great, and I had a chance to really dig into the scene. And this was a very this scene is very relatable to a lot of people, in the workplace. And
Definitely. This is a shout out to anybody who's ever worked in customer service or retail.
pretty
and
much
had the poor opportunity to have to work with assholes.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
So-
assholes, or just those customers. Those
Mm-hmm.
those customers that they're unavoidable, and you either can't understand them, or they don't understand you, or it's just a
Oh yeah. And they still give you like shit for it.
yeah. They're still assholes about it. Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is everybody's experience. Either you work at Home Depot, Walmart, or
Yeah, this happens everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much.
It doesn't matter which store you live in.
Yeah,
or
pretty
work in.
much.
God, I hope you don't live in a store.
Yeah.
Please consider changing your career.
Yeah.
If you live in your store.
I know, yeah, that's exactly, yeah. Get a home, please.
Yeah. This scene is played by Keely, who is the new employee here,
Yes.
and Dana, who is the manager,
Yes.
and also by Kate, who is going to show up.
As the Ermiger girl, and she rocked it. The way all of them rocked it, actually. Dana, this for her being her first show.
Yeah.
She rocked it out in this show, and I got a chance to really discuss some things with her, work over a few things with her, and it was a grand experience, and she brought it. She brought
Yeah.
it definitely with this show, and I was
yeah.
very proud.
Something to note here is that almost all the actors in the show have never acted before.
Yes.
And so to see that kind of development take place and to see them do what they've done here on
Yes.
stage is incredible.
Yeah, and for this to actually be documented, and for them to refer back to hey, this is my first show, and and I felt like that was very appropriate for, especially a lot of the cast members, and even the CCD veteran actors that we have here. We have Keely,
Yep.
and Kevin is one of them as well. Steven is too. He was in Dark Play. He did a few shows already, but a lot of the newcomers really, I really wanted to give them a shot with this show, and they brought it. They and I really hope every single one of them continues.
Definitely.
Which is-
I hope so too.
Yes, and here we are with oh my god girl having her little conversation with the new employee. the employee has no idea what the hell she's saying.
Yeah.
D actually put in the script. He put the Ermigerd translator.
That's right.
And
there's an Ermigerd translator online. It's
there
amazing.
is. Oh my god!
If you type in the words that you want to say, it'll translate into Ermigerd. And so I used that and then put it in the script.
Oh my god, that is brilliant. Yes, and and she had to learn it that way. Kate, and she worked her ass off on that. I got a chance to really work with her one-on-one, and we worked out a lot of things, and she was quick on the ball.
Oh yeah.
She showed up and she showed and improved, and so she definitely she took that role to another level with the shiny orange shoes. I don't know if you can see. She had shiny orange shoes and some sunglasses, and that was just beautiful and just glamorous. It is.
Thoroughly impressed with the amount of work she put in the role. I was
Yes.
afraid that people weren't going to be able to read it,
Yeah.
and I had a little bit of debate as to whether I should have put the actual words in. But then I realized that they would have never got the essence of the role if I didn't write it that way. So
Yes.
she put a lot of work into translating it, and I'm pretty impressed.
Yes. Yep. And here we are with our transition. We're transitioning into a little interlude.
Yeah, I always thought it was interesting when you had the tech have the little airport security
Yes.
lightsaber.
Yeah,
deal.
and that came. I think the lightsaber was
I
like
think I came 20 minutes before. the
pretty
show
much
came
like
up.
20 minutes. Yeah,
So,
and I was like, you know what?
let's just do it.
You know what? Do your
What
thing
else
with
can we do? You know.
it. Exactly. Yeah. So in this scene, this is just a interlude in between some of the scenes. You'll see a lot more of these. These were essentially just little quick improv things that we could all do, or they could all do.
Yeah.
Before a scene, just to introduce the next scene, or just to a little fun little excerpt into the show. I missed me being the cameraman. I missed Jesus's wild stuff over in the corner.
Yeah.
He's great. He did a great job in this show, and
He did. You'll get to see more of him later throughout
Yeah.
the show, but just consider that a preview of the excellence that's about to come.
yes, definitely. And this is the setting up for the check,
The check.
which we have two actors. It's just Mitch and Ellie,
Yep.
and we have Kevin briefly at the beginning and the end of the skits, and he's the waiter.
Yep.
And this is this scene.
Classic scenario.
Yes.
Classic scenario. You got a couple here, just ate their dinner. Neither of them can pay for the check.
Yes. And they're at a very expensive restaurant, so we you can't see on the table, but they have two water cups. They're just like little styrofoam
Little
water
plastic
cups.
cups. Very expensive restaurant.
Yeah,
must say.
So they charge for their water cups. So the check that comes is like for the water cups. So it's not, it's probably like $2. You know what I mean? It's not even, there's. So they're just sitting there, and it's. I think this is a great concept. This was actually written by Kevin, who plays the waiter in this scenario. There's not a lot of dialogue in this scene. There is a little, but we kind of cut out a lot of it because I felt like with everything that they're doing, just it's enough. It's enough to show off the ridiculousness of the scene.
Right.
Here we have Mitch. He has no money. He saw the check, and he's not nearly
not
happy
liking
with
the
it.
idea here.
Yeah. So
he's gonna go through his date's purse.
Yes.
And so I really love this idea here. So Mitch is pulling out like random objects.
Yes.
So that's a gun.
Yeah. So
And he just pulled out a clock. And
yes.
There's a naked Barbie doll in there too.
Yes, and it displays. I feel like these display like the cheapness of each character. Like he's going through her purse, yet he's looking, through her purse, finding all these things that she must have stole from some convenience store. So it kind of displays both of their their cheapness, and she comes back from the bathroom, and they're both kind of distraught a little bit.
This scene actually went through a lot of different versions.
Yes, it did.
So
yes.
This is just the final version. There's a lot of work done behind it.
Yes.
We even had different actors at one point,
yes.
but due to scheduling reasons, they couldn't make it, and so we ended up with this.
Yeah, and Mitch was actually he wasn't the original guy in this scene. We had Alex Holt, who was originally in it, but he couldn't be a part of the show because of traveling. He was going to New York this week of the show, so
yeah, he couldn't have done it.
But he still had a lot of contributions to this scene in particular. It was definitely a wonderful thing to see these two. The chemistry these two had was very beautiful, I think, after watching it, finally on stage and it being performed.
Yeah, just so well done.
Yes.
Don't ever throw the table.
Yeah.
When you're at a restaurant, by the way. It's
yeah.
not going to get you any good looks.
Yeah, not really. Yeah, that's just going to make everything worse. And I also, with this part, I also wanted to display, Kevin as the waiter being cheap as well, being another cheap character, showing that he didn't get a tip.
Yeah, he didn't get the tip. That was the most important part.
Yeah.
Don't mind the people walking in. This was a result of staging difficulties.
Yes.
We only have one entrance available.
Yes.
And so it was right in the middle of the riser, so it's really hard to get people in the stage after the show started. So this show is cheap. It's not a big issue. It's not a big issue,
but it's still fun. Here we are with the interlude. We have a OMG swimmer. And this idea was by Brennan. Our stage manager, our wonderful stage manager, and we just threw it in, and she actually brought in her entire swimsuit out of nowhere. But
best part of that scene is seeing her with her floaties.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the chair sculpture, and this was one of the last shows that was submitted.
Yes. Oh, don't mind the camera flip. Yeah. Sorry about that.
We're theater kids, not film kids.
Yeah.
So this scene came up very late, and it's about two guys who live in, the same dorm, and one of them just happens to be a total douche.
Yep.
And builds a chair sculpture in front of his roommate's door.
Yes.
Of inspiration or whatever.
Yeah.
And so being a former art student, I like playing with the idea of what people think an artist is. Some starved person that just magically gets ideas. And so I had fun with that. And it's like, well, what if that magical genius was your roommate and he just did shit like this all the time?
Yes.
It doesn't make you happy. And I think everyone who's been to college and has had a roommate before knows what this is like, to have somebody that is just off the wall like nuts.
Yes. Yeah, and this is another scene I really enjoyed having to work with these two. It's another scene that just was grand to work with. This sculpture, the two chairs, came into one of the rehearsals. Jesus actually, I think he broke one of the chairs and the thing flipped off. I was like, you know what? That is beautiful. We're gonna keep that.
Yeah.
And he brought it. They both brought it by this time, of the show. And man, they were definitely like perfect for the scene. It felt like Jesus really brought the the hatred of Tracy into this part. His little monologue for being pissed that he put this in front of his door.
Yeah.
And then,
Jesus in general, he just has so much energy when he works on this show.
Yes,
watching him move back and forth is really pleasing.
Yes, it is. It's it was such a great time working with all these actors. Actually, Jesus, I got a chance to work with the scene, specifically, and it was. Oh man, it was beautiful. It was hilarious,
For sure.
And
we were originally planning to have more chairs.
Yeah.
So thinking 10 or so.
Yes.
But then I realized that was a safety hazard.
Yeah.
Could have collapsed on the audience. So just having two, I think, worked, and the fact that the cushions were just totally in disarray.
Yeah.
It was like totally separated. I like that idea.
Yeah.
And so it was like, you know what, just go with it.
Yeah.
It looks nice.
Yeah, it also brings to the cheap value of, you know.
Again, an overarching theme of this show is that it's cheap.
Yeah.
So if you ever have to write a paper on this for your English class, cheap.
Cheap.
Put that in your paper.
Yes.
Definitely
Yes.
present throughout the entire show.
Yeah. I mean, consider our time with our budget.
Yeah.
I mean,
we had a entire month, and we could only use whatever was in
yeah.
CCD and whatever we had.
Yeah.
We didn't spend any money making this show.
Yeah, you know, which is, exactly what I envisioned for it. You know, it's not, I didn't want it to be super elaborate, sets and all that. I mean, we could have.
Right.
But it was, it's definitely wasn't the plan. It wasn't definitely what I was.
Yeah. We want to
wanted get
focus.
into. Yeah.
We want to focus on the comedy.
Yeah.
And take things away from like sad and stuff.
Yeah, and I feel like the cheapness brought to the comedy. It actually.
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah.
Everyone's been cheap before, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. So like in this
Pretty
scene,
much.
for example, like right here, there's no door. We
Yeah.
were originally gonna have a door, and when Tracy would come in through the door, Jesus here, who plays the role of Sam, he's blocking the way because he doesn't want Tracy to see it.
Yeah, he doesn't want him to see the destruction he has caused.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and to explain the licking, I know you guys seen the licking, at the beginning and the middle of the scene. The licking actually came into one of the rehearsals. It came out of nowhere. I think I was discussing with Derek. He needs to, treat this chair as his baby. He's got to treat this chair as like, this chair sculpture as like his masterpiece. And I felt like, he has to have some sort of bond with it. So I was like, maybe you have, it's either you have like a sexual bond or it's a, or it's just a father-son bond or whatever, just something that's just hilarious, I feel like. And he came through and he just started licking it. I was like, you know what? Keep that. That is
was
perfect.
ridiculous.
Yes,
that was not in the script. I didn't
Yes.
write that in, so I was very surprised when I saw that for the first time.
Yes, and it added a lot to it, and I was like, you know what, we're keeping that, and and I don't even think it didn't happen before at the beginning of the scene. It happened like in the middle or probably at the end or something. But I just remember seeing it, and I was like, you know what, more. I want more of that. We are good.
Yeah, keep that energy up. Keep
Yes.
the passion or whatever that you have for the chair sculpture. And
Yes.
just keep it going, and it really worked. The audience loved it.
Yes, and
For
I was
sure.
very also impressed with Derek's improvement throughout the show. He definitely worked very hard on each character, and I was very pleased to see him grow throughout the show. It was like really awesome, and and I really just like everybody else, I really want everybody to continue with this, and
Definitely.
this is definitely a work of art. You know
Oh,
what
yeah.
I mean? Like with each scene and everything, and
Oh yeah, a good starting point for everybody in this
Yes.
show if they're new, and just another excellent, awesome thing to add to their portfolio.
Yes.
If they're if they're veterans,
Mhm.
and they can even show this play online. So
Yes,
I think
that's
the
right.
best part.
Yes.
That, we own the copyright, so
Yes.
we've got to give a shout out to the stage hands here.
Yes,
who were
we have.
responsible for moving the props back and forth.
Yes,
Oh my
they
gosh.
came with Keely. Keely brought in some friends, and they stuck with us for our tech rehearsals, and they rocked it out, man.
Definitely.
They took advantage of it. So
Only had like a couple days to do it, so thoroughly impressed. And stagehands, backstage people don't always get the thanks that they deserve, so
yeah,
we're just acknowledging them here. You just got to do that sometimes,
Yes.
for the thankless work that they have to do.
yes. So here we are on the scene Sick Day, and we have Derek playing the man, and Litvania playing the lady, and she is sick. And Derek, this is I really like this scene. This scene really, I like the dynamics of the relationships between the two. How it shows that, the differences between, each person. When she's sick, all of a sudden he like wants to stay away from her. It's like, oh, he's like all of a sudden a germaphobe, and then it just creates this tension between them, and this kind of. I feel like it's really funny to see like a relationship like those two, kind of break down from just one person being sick.
Yeah, it's not quite a dysfunctional relationship, but it's definitely one that has its tense moments, like right here.
Yes.
And when I was writing this skit, I was actually sick myself.
Yes.
I had a bit of a cough, and I was up in bed really sick at 2 a.m. trying to write these sketches because we were on a very tight time schedule.
It was very tight.
And so I just decided, well, what if I write about being sick? And I decided that it needed a twist. It couldn't just be sickness. So the surreal twist is that when a sick person touches a normal person, that their roles change. The normal person becomes sick, and then the sick person is better. All of a sudden.
Kind of like it's a game of tag, with the sickness, and it was definitely like I remember reading it. It was one of the first scenes that you presented to me, and I was like, wow, that's like super creative, and it was definitely perfect with the ridiculousness of of the show as well, like bringing the outrageous chaos to this play. This was, oh my god, I remember first reading it. It was just great, and I definitely envisioned the way that this scene would move as far as movements and all that. It was, oh man, it was definitely a great experience, and then seeing these two play with each other was just magnificent. So.
Yeah. In the script, I intentionally left room for Mike to play with the events that were happening, because I've worked with Mike for 2.5 to 3 years now.
Yes.
It's a pretty long time.
Yeah.
And so I kind of know how Mike works things, and I left parts of it blank because I knew Mike would figure out the rest.
Yes. And it was, we definitely worked it out. It was definitely great. Yeah. Man, yeah. And this scene, this scene I actually got a chance to work with specifically as well, and I got the chance to polish up a few things. With the tripping and the movement at the end of the scene when they're tagging each other like profusively. Yeah. And I love the. I just love how this has like the sitcom feel to the play, and it's just, I don't know, it's very, very refreshing, this scene. I feel like, especially by the end of it. So here they are tagging each other, all wild spazzing out.
I told them when they get sick, act like a rag doll and just let yourself go. So you can see it in the body movement that they just right there, right like that, and they get sick immediately. It was a complete pleasure watching their movements.
Oh man, yeah, and it was. Oh man, it's so great, so great. They did such a wonderful job, and the progression of this was definitely a very, very treat to see.
Yeah, I had to hand it to Derek. He was really good at the roles he did.
Yeah, definitely. So here we are with Bruce coming in with another interlude, and he will be presenting the next scene, which we have hopscotch.
Hopscotch. That was a killer scene. It was one of our favorite scenes, and one of the initial ones that came into place when we were talking about it.
Yes.
The whole idea of hopscotch was basically like your childhood gone wrong. So it's a hopscotch tournament with everyone. So think like when you were like a kid and you had to like wait in line to play Foursquare or any one of those games, except it was like a big tournament and these kids were all running it together, and then like it suddenly goes very wrong. Like kids that like couldn't do the hopscotch thing had to like suffer horrible punishments.
Yes, and it's kind of like like a cult, like if I felt like like with the the new kid coming into the cool kids, kind of like how the cool kids do things, it's like it's so outrageous what they do on the playground and everything. It's just man.
So like playing a game for the first time and then having to see like the rules explained to you. Okay, this is hopscotch. This is how you play. you know.
Yeah.
And then this poor guy who's played by Mitch just has the
Yes.
unfortunate opportunity to get involved with this game,
Yes.
which has some very bad consequences.
And then his friend, Mitch's friend, is played by Dana, and she's wearing the suspenders, which is just, oh my god, that's just fabulous. Like
That sells the character.
Yeah,
the orange
that
suspenders and the orange bow ties on the top of her head. Those sell the character.
Yes.
It's like this is totally it.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, and she plays the character who really wants to do this. Like, she's asking Mitch for help to win the trophy, which is, oh man, this is such a great. And this is actually, I think, the only scene in the entire show that has every single cast member on stage.
Right. Apart from
the dance and and then the end Harlem Shake. Yes, this is such a great scene. It's so awesome.
Okay, we've got to bring up the issue of the wig.
Yes. Oh my god, the wig. Okay, so originally the character that Jesus plays is a woman. It was actually a girl. And I was thinking I think the first time rehearsing this scene, Jesus played her, and we didn't have the wig or anything. We were just, he was just standing in as one. I was like, you know what? You're going to be perfect for Choir Girl. That was the name of her. And he came through with it. He did it, and then I was like, you know what? We're going to put you in a wig and some sunglasses, and then we're just going to rock it out. And he did, and he had the perfect wig and everything for it.
This scene, in general, had such development, because I remember walking into the first rehearsal, and everyone was split up into different groups to work on each, little segment. And so just watching it come out like this is just such an amazing process that we had to go through.
Yeah, it was, oh man, it was great. And just a few minutes before this part, you saw Steven kick Kevin in the nuts, and that was very that was exactly what I envisioned for like, this kind of thing, like the way that Mitch would see this kind of behavior. To see Steven kick him in the nuts, and then just, it'd be all outrageous. We actually had the song Still by the Ghetto Boys, and that song actually appears in Office Space as they're breaking the fax machine with the bats and everything in slow motion. So I just wanted to integrate that into this, and it was, oh man, it was great and hilarious. So.
It definitely pushes the drama on that scene.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Yep, so, and then this part is where he's, he's trying to scare Mitch, into doing the hopscotch. And Mitch begins, and then it just keeps... Oh, man, this scene. I remember just first thinking of this scene, I was very worried about doing this scene because I wouldn't have enough people. But I was like, you know what? If we didn't have enough people, man, like, we would have still made this happen. Like, this is great. So
yeah, this was definitely flexible in terms of, like, how many people you needed.
Yeah.
And all the scripts in general I wrote knowing that people would be coming in and out simply because in the community college environment, people are busy with things.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
yeah, people have lives. Yeah, so...
Yeah, so we made it as flexible as possible and made sure that the casting worked out okay. So even if the cast was only 5 or 6 people, then the scenes would all still work. And I'm kind of glad that we had this many people to work with.
Yeah, it's surprising.
Hopscotch works really well when you have like this many people.
It
just has a great group feel to it.
Yes, definitely, yes. And and this scene, man, this was just it's definitely one of our bigger scenes. It's like definitely probably one of the biggest scenes we have.
For sure.
This is definitely, man. And then they disperse, and
this was a good scene, even though no one clapped. That was
I know.
A lighting mistake on our part.
We
were envisioning that this transition was going to happen really quickly. And so we thought, we don't need the blue light to transition it, but it turns out that we did.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, but it's okay. I mean, considering the time and when we were putting this together,
Yeah.
tech-wise and everything.
It looked good on paper.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, yeah.
Okay, so here's another interlude here called
Yes.
OMG Class.
Yes.
The big elephant in the room here is Derek with his shirt off, which will be
Yes.
the joke in a little bit.
Yeah.
Bruce here plays the teacher, and he improvised this section here, which I was very impressed with.
Yes.
When he went to get his props, he realized that he didn't have it, and so he just took a bunch of papers from his backpack and had to acknowledge the fact that none of them were the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So he made the intelligence joke, which I thought was purely brilliant.
Yeah, and he actually makes that joke to the Irma girl, who actually makes an appearance in this little segment, and which is I think is funny. She actually uttered the Irma in this scene. I loved it. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, and yeah, I liked how Bruce took his time with each student, to acknowledge their presence, and which is exactly what I wanted. So I think that was a good thing.
Definitely. These interludes in general were just like nice experiments for short ideas that couldn't be fit into a larger skit, but were great as like 30-second, 1-minute ideas. And so that's where this came from.
Yeah.
And
we have Derek, who just screamed, I forgot my pants. Yes,
I think,
right.
And then that kind of confuses people too. It's like, but he's already wearing pants.
Yes.
and that's what's funny. Making people confused, I think, can be humorous in some ways.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, and now we are in transitioning into MC interlude into Final Exam Rescue Squad, which is our
best scene.
Yeah, our best. Yeah, the
definitely
best.
Our best scene. Of the show.
Definitely. This was definitely a show stealer to the max. Like it was.
Even when I pitched it to Mike, it was definitely like both of us were laughing at the ideas that we presented.
Oh
and
my god!
This was the skit that brought confidence into the show.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and and it also, it was well put into the show. It was towards the end. Where, I felt like it was more appropriate. So that people can leave remembering. Something about the show, or something that's like way more outrageous than most of the skits.
Right.
Which is this was man, it was I had such a great time directing this. This was like so much fun. I was mostly like on stage working with everybody, rehearsing, and it was just beautiful.
So the idea of this show, this skit, was that final exams were coming up during the 2 nights that the show opened. They were very close to final exams.
Yes.
And so I thought, well, you have to have a final exam skit. As a student show, it's almost mandatory to have at least one.
Pretty much, yeah.
And so I'd imagine that the people who were coming to the show were kind of stressed in their own way. And I thought, well, here's an idea.
Yeah.
Let's do an infomercial about how we can fix that.
Yes.
And the final exam rescue squad comes in, and they are the ones to help you with your final exam needs.
Yes, and in this infomercial we have Mitch playing the announcer, he was brilliant. That was just grand. He was
very
great.
impressed with his talent.
Yes, and all the 3 students, we have Jesus, Kevin, and Ellie, and then our final exam rescue squad agent is Steven, who is a brute. He's just did an amazing job with this. Like I was just very impressed, and working with him was just, oh man, it was great. It was great to work with such a hard worker. He really worked hard, and I felt like he didn't get much of a shot in Dark Play,
Yeah,
And
his first debut was in Dark Play, which was a
Play.
show that took place a month or 2 before this.
Yes.
And he wasn't playing with his type in that role, and so in this skit, he's playing more to what he's typed towards, which is big, brute, energetic.
Yes.
That's one of the highlights of this show, is that Steven just brings it.
He brings his energy, and I remember first meeting him, and that was a highlight, of his personality. is energetic. He was very, determined, and showing it with his energy was just excellent. And I love that fact. It was very, he was, on top of it. And
Oh yeah.
with this show, he man, he stole the show. He stole the show on this scene particularly.
Yeah.
And this scene, man, this was just. Oh man, this scene was just so hilarious, man. Here we have Jesus and Steven doing the flip, going into the
That was awesome. It was like because it was a perfect way for him to leave.
Yes.
Because the door issue came up
Yeah.
again for the skit. We were envisioning a door.
Yeah,
But
door.
when we trashed it, we decided, well, let's not have Steven slam the door. Let's have him do something else.
Yeah.
And so we backflipped into the curtain.
Yeah,
which I thought was
Steven really
great.
wanted to do the door though. He really wanted to break some shit. So I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm sorry, man. It's cool, man, but you
Don't
still
have
got
enough
it,
money.
man.
Not enough money to break things. Sorry.
Yeah, or enough time because we'd have to reattach it and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
here we have Steven and Kevin.
This was one of my professor's favorite moments.
Yes.
This is one of Lori's favorite moments. Where
Yes.
he slams his face against the desk. It was
Yes.
pure, definitely got the audience.
Yeah, this had them right there, and I knew, like, knowing Kevin, and he was able to really make that happen.
He's
it was
really
just
good
great.
at slapstick.
Yes.
This definitely showed.
Yes.
Some of the audience members were concerned for his safety.
I know,
thought
yeah,
it
they were
was-
like, did he really hit his head on the table?
I thought that was really funny. So it's like, yeah, we did a good job. It's
Yes.
all acting.
Yes, it was all
magic.
acting. Yes, sir. Yep, and here we have Steven doing his lunges,
And then he's holding a
tiptoeing.
monster can. It's hard to see from the video, but
Yeah.
he's throwing it at Ellie. I
Yes.
thought this was really funny. It's like,
Oh my god.
it's like, oh, maybe he's gonna, actually do something nice for once. No, he just
Nope,
throws it
he
in
just
her
throws a
face.
freaking monster can, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was definitely, man, this was awesome, just having everybody in this scene just coming through with their energy and bringing it, and Mitch being an excellent announcer in this, and just, I don't know, this is just, I feel like, this doesn't happen a lot in theater, like, these kind of ideas, and
Yeah, for sure.
all this stuff. And I really, first looking at this scene, I knew, like, this is, we had to make this happen, because
Yeah.
this is, I mean,
Just having this experimental playground to
Yes.
play with all these ideas, and then having all these actors come in and having a chance to just not be constrained to a script.
yes,
Even though we had a script, it was okay to change ideas. And
yes,
just having a writer on board and a director on board, and both of
Yes.
us working together, it really helped the idea of the show.
yes. Yeah.
We missed talking about Mitch's reading of the fine print.
Oh,
which I thought
yes.
was one of the best,
Oh, man, that was
best moments of the show.
definitely a highlight, of his performance. He definitely, man, and he said, I think he uttered every single word.
Every single word.
Every single word. It was great. Oh my god. It was,
It's not really important to know what the side effects are.
yeah.
Kind of like in real life.
Yeah,
the side
pretty
effects
much.
aren't that important. That's why they read it fast.
Yes. So here we are with the Harlem Shake. I'd say the first Harlem Shake done on stage.
Yeah.
And I definitely wanted to put it in there. I was opposed to the idea at first, but I actually opened up to the idea.
It was just really fun, just
Yeah.
seeing them all dancing like this.
Yes.
Even I thought it was really fun, so I stepped out of the booth.
Yes.
And I started flailing from the
Yes.
booth. It's hard to see me.
Hard to
I
see,
was-
but
I
he's
was
up there. Yeah. Yeah. I thought it really adds adds a treat to the experience, and the ridiculousness and the outrageous chaos, presented in
Definitely.
this show. So
So we're coming up towards the end here. Gotta
Yes.
thank you guys for watching this.
yes.
This was something original, and we decided, we gotta document it. So
Yeah.
thank you guys for watching this.
Yeah, and thanks for definitely watching, and I'd like to thank Dee for jumping on board.
Aw.
To being a part of this, because honestly, a lot of this wouldn't have happened if without all the the material, you know, all of this wonderful material. And
Thank you.
yeah, and you know, because we didn't have a lot of material in the beginning of this, and we didn't have a lot of time, and
Yeah.
for you to jump on board to do this was definitely helped me out a lot.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
We gotta say thank you to the actors too for being
Yes.
the wonderful people that they are, the stage-hands, and of course you, Mike, for putting this all together. Couldn't have
Yes.
done it without you.
Yes,
So,
definitely a wonderful experience.
Yeah, guys, thanks for watching. We'll be back together to do this again when we come back together. So,
Yes.
see you later. Thank you for watching.
For sure.